In many countries across the world, public works and contracts are very vital in the development of their societies. Many of these public projects and procurements expend huge resources, and the question often is whether the taxpayer gets value for money.
Governments around the world spend close to about 9.5 trillion US dollars through contracts because of the amounts and volumes of money that governments actually spend, and also because it's being spent on behalf of the people who will be paying sometimes for these debts that are being incurred in future. There is always the need for the citizen and all stakeholders to play a role in one, getting to know what the contracts entail, what is in the contract to which the government is appending its signature on our behalf, getting to know what has been set out to be achieved, what will be the outcomes and the outputs within these contracts, getting to know what will be the timelines and deadlines for these contracts that have been assigned to be completed, which project to be completed under this contract, what are the deliverables, how do they benefit us as citizens?
It is in seeking solutions to this question that the World Bank conceptualized the West Africa Contract Monitoring Network (WACMN) program to strengthen the capacity of civil society organizations in 4 West African countries, namely Ghana, Nigeria, Liberia, and Sierra Leone, to monitor public procurement processes and contracting.
These networks were convened through the support of the World Bank, and it started in December 2010, where the World Bank Institute and the World Bank Africa region brought together multi-stakeholder groups to Liberia, and together this network was formed.
WACMN, therefore, is a regional network of stakeholders from diverse sectors committed to the agenda of contract monitoring to improve transparency and accountability in public procurements and projects. Contract monitoring coalitions were set up in each of the 4 target countries and were made up of representatives from civil society organizations, private and public sectors, and the media.
The network is regionally convened by the Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition. The fund that the World Bank used to fund this project is the Institutional Development Fund, and it's one of the first occasions that this fund is being used to fund civil society organizations.
The process in terms of establishing these coalitions to work well together is about thinking about the sustainability part. Most of them have done training at the local community level to get them interested in monitoring projects that benefit them at the local community level. So this is not about the World Bank pushing an agenda. It's about helping them to appreciate that they have a stake in their own development outcomes. So they need to monitor projects that have to benefit their local community. So this is going to go on regardless of whether the bank is involved or not, which was really the idea behind this, to get them to drive this agenda on their own.
In Ghana, the convening organization is Ghana Integrity Initiative. The Ghana Coalition chose to monitor transparency in road projects. The coalition conducted an assessment of the newly constructed George Walker Bush Highway, which has received commendations, and was used as a benchmark to develop tools for monitoring other road projects.
What we have done so far is just pilot. We've had 2 pilot projects. We've collected information on the Labadi Teshi Road, the dualization, the widening of the road and dualization. That is a Ghana government funded project. And then we compared it with the Bekwai Asimpraso Road, Central Region to Ashanti Region, which is funded by the Japanese government, JICA. So an internationally funded project and Ghana funded and a locally funded project. Some differences came up. For example, the project in Ghana was supposed to have lasted 8 months, from 2003 to 2004. As we are speaking now, it is still not finished. It's taken a long time, even though it has reached quite an advanced stage. The one funded by JICA is on course and it will be finished as they promised to be finishing.
Implementation of the program in Ghana led to some significant outcomes. It afforded civil society organizations, individuals, and media houses the opportunity to take pragmatic steps towards improving challenges in road constructions beyond just complaining about them. The Liberia Coalition was convened by Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia, CENTAL. The coalition chose to monitor the procurement processes in waste management contracts given by Monrovia City Corporation and how these affected the delivery of waste management and sanitation services in 5 communities in the city.
The Liberia Country team is pleased to collaborate with the Monrovia City Corporation with funding from the World Bank to monitor contracts and procurement in the municipality of Monrovia.
The Liberia Coalition discovered that the communities where community-based enterprises had been contracted to work were neither parties to the contracting process nor were they abreast with the regulations guiding the contracts. The citizens therefore lacked the capacity to hold the MCC and CBEs accountable for the provision of quality waste management services.
There are a lot of issues that we've been able to discover. One of the issues was that even the issues of price fair determination in terms of how prices are levied on household owners for the garbages that they collect. We noticed that from our entry into the community, there was this arbitrary and independent levying of price. That is, the price was not determined based on the close collaboration between the household and the CBE.
The coalition in Liberia therefore undertook media campaigns and outreach, community engagements and policy briefs to increase citizens' access to information. These activities of the Liberia Coalition led to increased media discussion of procurement and contracting processes of city authorities. There was also an increase in involvement of community members in the monitoring of activities of CBEs and the MCC, and thus yielded results such as an improvement in timely garbage collection. The Contract Monitoring Coalition in Nigeria was convened by the Public and Private Development Center, PPDC. The coalition in Nigeria chose to focus its monitoring activities in the power sector. This is due to the fact that even though the federal government of Nigeria has expended $60 billion in the power sector between 1999 and 2007, there has been very little improvement in power supply in the country. The Nigeria Coalition sought to monitor the procurement and installation of sectionalizers in Abuja, Ibadan, and Lagos.
Lack of proper documentation of the things that are being done. Projects of this scale do not have information sharing within all the elements that are carrying out these projects. And you see them from time to time feigning ignorance of certain things that they should be aware of.
Getting access to procurement information was a challenge, and it climaxed in the Nigeria Coalition suing the Power Holding Company of Nigeria in court.
PHCN would not give us the information. They had said they weren't obliged to provide it for us, and this is in spite of the fact that we made it using our Freedom of Information Act. And so we sought judicial review, and the courts held that they should give us all the information. But good for us, as soon as that judgment was passed, PHCN complied to the full. In 2 days we got every information that we needed. We got all the contract documents and all of that, and then we were able to engage much more with the project.
In Sierra Leone, the convening organization is the Society for Democratic Initiative. Public procurement in Sierra Leone becomes a very important issue because it generates considerable financial flows. The coalition in Sierra Leone is made up of government, civil society, media, and international organizations working on transparency and accountability in public procurement processes in the country. The monitor's responsibilities included to conduct field visitation and engage with community members and contractors working on the project on specific issues and to report back to the coalition. The team also had challenges obtaining project documents from the national and district offices. which made it difficult for them to assess procurement processes and the status of the projects monitored.
The private communities are the rural communities. And so we want to see how those rural communities are suffering in the process of the implementation of contracts that are meant to really benefit them. And so the one area we took was that for the young, that is the schools. There are children in those rural communities who do not have access to schools because the schools were located very far away. And B, it was a risk for the child maybe to walk 7-8 miles to school from one location to another, on the basis of which there were government contracts to alleviate that kind of problem. And so when we went in, we realized indeed that most of these contracts, because of their distance, their remoteness from the eyes of the central system, we realized that most of these contracts were not properly being implemented.
In April 2014, the various country coalitions converged in Accra, Ghana to review and discuss the program, share experiences, and envision a viable and sustainable future for the West Africa Contract Monitoring Network.
It's been about 3 years ago since we met when the network was formed. It's been a good opportunity to come back together and review what has been done over the past years.
Overall, the WACMN program has provided broader citizens' participation and interest in contracting and implementation of projects, and established a regional platform for further collaboration with governments and development partners to improve transparency and accountability in the sub-region.
Transparency initiatives can bring about less corruption and can result in development. We are heading towards the era where governments who are more transparent are more likely to even win elections. So it's in government's own interest to make sure that citizens know what is happening in contracts that have been signed. Country coalitions have been formed. West Africa Regional Network has been formed, and we don't expect it to die after this funding period. So more resources would be looked for, and then the projects would be continued because we believe it has a very good objective, and the results that we got from the various countries points to the fact that the project has to be continued.
I would want to thank the World Bank for the opportunity that they granted Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition to coordinate this process, and then I also wish to thank the country coalitions in Ghana, Nigeria, Sierra Leone and Liberia for the support they have given us. And finally, I would want to say that we all have a role to play. We should all contribute our quota towards the development of our communities, the development of our nation, and the development of Africa. The destiny of our nation and continent lies in our hands.